relationship. So that happened before therapy, and then he brought it up again during therapy and was very just, he said his piece as if I had not offered this option, these three options, because I noticed with him when he raises objections, he doesn't really often come with a solution. It's just an objection, then he kind of throws it at me or drops it on me and kind of is like, do something with that. Whereas if I have a concern, and this is typical in any kind of, work relationship or something, if you've thought enough about something that's bothering you, you might want to think about some solutions or fixes that you can come to the table with when you do, bring that to the other person's attention. And so I'd already raised the three options that I thought would be fair, which would be, I can go work for someone else, and that way he doesn't have to feel responsible for my compensation, and then he can find someone that he thinks is capable, and that, and that way there's no confusion, on what I can bring, and then I can bring in more money to the business. I've already mentioned the three. But when we got on the call with the therapist, he brought it up and made no mention of my solutions that I had offered him, and proceeded to say how he has always felt in this relationship that he's been carrying us, and it's getting very stressful for him, and he still feels that he's doing that, and that I'm making bad financial decisions. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, gosh, I feel like I haven't asked him for anything. Yes, I work for my salary, and I get a housing allowance to help subsidize my housing, because I married this man, and he decided that he wanted to be a fool or jerk and just kind of not treat me with care and respect. And so I moved out, and he lied to me, and he didn't have to agree to that. So it was very odd. And he proceeded to make it seem like he was being taken advantage of. And I sat there and I was like, I don't understand. I thought I put solutions out there that could work. I'm open to any of them. And the therapist asked him if he thought I was making what I was worth. And he's like, no, she's not, but I pay for this, I pay for that. And I'm like, and she's like, well, would you be okay with paying her salary, the rate? And he's like, yeah, as long as I don't have to pay the separation. And I'm like, and she's like, oh, would you be okay with that? And I'm like, yeah, actually, I would be. I'd be fine with that. I'd rather earn my salary than have to have some support. And I thought the situation was solved right there, because it wasn't about, I want you to support me so I don't get taxed on this. It was, I need support because I don't make enough to support myself off of what you give me, off of what I earn. And he does tend, I didn't mean to say give me, but he does tend to say he gives me money, and he puts my salary and my compensation together with the separation support, and he says he gives me money as if I don't earn the money. And so it's always this constant battle of you're not giving me anything here. I work, I earn this. You can't do this work by yourself. This is a team effort, and everything seems to he really does seem to think that he is carrying this company, and he does a lot for the company. But during this last year and a half, he has been pretty absent and irresponsible and kind of checked out. And because my defense mechanism was to work harder, I kind of leaned into work and used that work to fill in the pain and the emptiness. So I was working very hard the entire time that I was going through this incredibly painful time in my life. So I wasn't losing track of priorities. He, on the other hand, was traveling and hanging out late and partying and, pretending as if he were the victim in this situation, because his life had gotten so much harder because he got caught out there. There was no thought for what I was going through and how what he did to us affected me on a day-to-day. And I didn't do anything to deserve that. But he couldn't see that. All he saw was, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, this is a stressful time for me. This is really stressful. It's hard, I'm having to make a decision between two women. It's hard having to juggle this. It's hard having to deal with your sadness, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't know what to do with that. Like, you made the decision to do all of this. If you don't want to deal with this, we can get a divorce. That's not what I want. I can't imagine you out of my life. It's like the never-ending complaint with no solutions. So after we came to that solution that, yes, a higher compensation would be great in lieu of a separation payment, he then blurted out, well, how about this? How about I just pay you more money and you don't get a bonus? And I'm like, that works too. But I guess he forgot about that because I still haven't gotten my increase in pay. After that meeting, he asked me to basically tell him what I needed and let him know what my expenses were and why I needed it. And it just felt kind of like he wanted me to justify why I needed market rate, and I didn't do it. I just told him, hey, when we raise money for the working capital that is supposed to be helping with some of the salaries, we did provide projections, and those projections had a salary rate that I would like to be on par with. It's a rate that he put together. It's a rate that he gave to the investor. It's a rate that we've projected. And when I said that, he immediately snapped at me in front of the therapist and said, well, you don't understand how money works. You don't understand that those were projections and that's not real. And you don't understand revenue and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't respond to that or react, rather. I didn't react to his insulting of my ability to understand numbers and money. I just hoped the therapist saw that. And then I said to him, if then maybe you should figure out what my compensation is since you're better at that. And I left it there because he just put it on me to make the decision. And then the second I gave him something that he had produced and given to a third party and said, I'd like to work off of that, then he proceeded to degrade me and tell me that I didn't know enough about business to know how to read that. And so I gave it right back to him, which is where it should have been, for him to help, give me an offer that he thought was fair. And that was that. And it was very frustrating. It was a very stressful session, very stressful time having to advocate for something that I had earned and that I deserve. All it does really is it motivates me to want to have my own separate and apart from him. And I never thought that way. I always thought we were a team, but it's abundantly clear that he doesn't see me as a part of his team. It's about him, what benefits him. He doesn't bother him that I live in a place that has the very bare minimum, which is fine by me. But, it's interesting to see him when he came to visit for that therapy session, looking at what I didn't have and ask me, oh, are you going to get silverware? Are you going to get a television? Are you going to get art? And it was just like almost as if he was trying to shame me for not having the things that I hadn't been able to purchase yet, as opposed to saying, do you need this? Do you need anything? Do you need anything? I know that this move was expensive. There was no offer for that. And I didn't ask because I was already feeling shamed for not being able to manage the penance that I had. So it's very frustrating. I really can't wait to be back on my own 2 feet again, to get my confidence back up. But that's just one example of financial abuse. And it really sucks when your financial abuser is both the owner of the place where you work and your husband. I wish I had some idea that this was what I was getting into. I really, really wish. And I will do my best to tell every young person how not to do life from this experience. Never, ever put your trust into one person and think that they would, and let yourself be vulnerable. And I know many of us come from vulnerable places. I know that I didn't have the best upbringing, and I was very independent and had to come pull together and get things together on my own. But always keep some power. I think that's the big lesson I took away, and I really cannot wait to be back in my power. This is a temporary thing, I know. It sucks. It's very humbling, and it hurts to have to endure it. But I've learned from it, and I think that's living. That's the purpose of this, and that's the gift that I'm getting from this, because I think that this is happening because I'm supposed to do something with it, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure out what I need to learn from this. What's the reason why I'm going through this? You know, there's a reason why. There's a reason why this was my situation and not the situation I was expecting. And, you know, for so many people, things work out. And there's a reason why this didn't work out. And I know now it's because he's not the right person for me. He's not a good person for me. He's not good for me. But also, there's a lesson here for me to learn about myself and about life and about people. And I really didn't think there were people like this in this world. And this is a thing. And people will see you down and out, and they will try to kick you and make you beg and hop on one foot, like Coming to America. But you know, you just got to keep your wits about you. Stay proud, stay humble, and just plan your exit and plan your success silently, which is what I'm doing. So that's it. I just wanted to give you an example of some financial abuse. I have several more. It's a lot, but wanted to give you that and how it works out in the work environment for me. So I appreciate you listening to me and giving me a chance to kind of get this off my chest. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm smiling. I've been doing that a lot more these days, even though things aren't perfect. I'm just so grateful. So I will talk to you soon. Take care.